Welcome to the Big Picture Retirement Show, where you'll learn what it really takes to have a successful retirement. With over 20 years of experience, your host, Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has seen it all and is here to help you achieve your retirement dreams. This is the Big Picture Retirement Show.
Welcome into the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us. Rick is a partner at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. He's a partner with Reed Aberdeen, Eddie Soda, and the three guys started this company back in 2008. They sat down with a lot of people just like you. They've heard a lot of great stories. They've heard some challenging stories because retirement is not really easy. It's really about having a plan. And that's the big picture blueprint that Rick can walk you through. It gives you some clarity into your road to retirement. That's income, investment, taxes, health care, long-term care, legacy planning, Social Security and Medicare decisions. And we're going to touch on Social Security in this first segment. But if you have any questions, you want to sit down and talk with the team, it's 800-700-1980, 800-700-1980. There's no cost to do so. The website, learn more about the team, safeguardinvestment.com, but you can also go there to find out about upcoming events, safeguardinvestment.com. Hey, Rick, how are you?
I'm doing good, Mark. How you doing?
Doing well, other than the cold.
Yeah,
but I guess that's just how it works, I guess. We're going to talk Social Security in this segment. I'm 64. I'll be signing up for Medicare towards the end of the year. At 65, it's crazy. I never thought I'd get past 25, and here I am. But
you did it. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. But Social Security is one of those things that you would think most people know, but it turns out most people don't really know. It's kind of the same with Medicare. People think Medicare is going to cover their long-term care. It's not. So there's a lot of these government programs that can be what we don't know, and really that can hurt you if you don't know. There was a quiz given to pre-retirees. 78% of them failed or barely passed a basic Social Security quiz. Are you surprised by that number, Rick?
Not really. I maybe a little bit, because I'm trying to gauge, like when you're giving me these statistics and stuff, I kind of gauge as to, I go back and I think of the people that come in to see me. I try to estimate what they know and don't know, and figure out if the statistics that you're giving me match what I see. So in my industry, I would say probably like 50-50,
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm going to run you through some of the questions that were on this quiz. And the first one was, in most cases, and these are all true and false, all true, false.
Okay.
In most cases, if I take benefits before my full retirement age, and you'll see that on a statement, FRA. You'll see that. That's what it stands for, full retirement age. But if I take my benefits before my full retirement age, my benefits will be reduced for early filing. True or false? You think most people get that, right?
I would guess everybody would get that right.
On the quiz, 92% got it right. And it does make a difference, Rick. You think back, when Social Security started in 1935, full retirement age was 65. The average living experience was like 62. So most people were going to get there. Then they move it to 66. And then they decided, I think it was 1956 for women, 1961 for men, that they could actually elect to take Social Security at 62. But if you did that and your full retirement age was 66, it was a 25% haircut. Well, now, those born in 1960 or later, full retirement age is 67, Rick. If you take it at 62, that's not a 25% haircut anymore. It's a 30% haircut. I suppose there's times for people to take it early, right? But, boy, you're taking a hit.
Yeah, and that definitely has to be examined on an individual basis, because I can give you scenarios where it totally makes more sense to take it early, but then of course I can give you scenarios where it makes more sense to take it later. So that's something that I wouldn't do on face value. Just say, I'm automatically just going to take it at a later age because it's more. I would definitely sit down with somebody, have them evaluate your particular situation, and then figure out what the sweet spot is for you as to when you should really be taking it.
Yeah, absolutely, because everybody's situation and hopes and dreams for retirement are different. Here's another one. This one, 30% missed this question in this quiz. If I have a spouse and he or she passes away, I will receive both my full benefit and my deceased spouse's benefit. True or false?
That's definitely false. And I would say probably on that one, if I was to guess, like with clients that I see coming through the office, I would say 60% or more, maybe 70% or more, 60, 70, somewhere in that I see, don't realize that they lose one of the Social Security checks. So that's a big surprise. And it's not planned for. And the same thing when it comes to their pension. So it kind of relates because sometimes they don't realize the pension gets cut,
Yeah.
and God forbid one spouse predeceases the other, you get a surprise.
Yeah, and there's like about 3 of those whammies. 1, you lose the lower of the 2 Social Securities. 2, you might lose some or all of your pension. And then 3, hey, congratulations, you were married for 50 years, so the year your spouse passed, we'll let you file your taxes jointly. But next year, you've got to file them as a single person, so your taxes went way up as well. Here's another one from this quiz. The money that comes out of my paycheck for Social Security goes into a specific account for Rick Rivera and remains there earning interest until Rick is ready to begin receiving his Social Security benefits. Now, if that was true, that would probably be Social Security be in a better position than it is now.
I would think so. Yeah, I can't imagine most people answering wrong on that one. But what was the stats?
It was 35% missed that one.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of people do think, well, I've been paying my first paycheck. They're taking stuff out for Social Security, and they're probably putting it in my own little Social Security box. So when I'm ready, there it is. But no, our Social Security that we're paying in while we're working is going to our parents and grandparents and neighbors and friends and all of that. It's going to everybody else. And that's probably what got – and I have a feeling, don't you, that when they say, boy, by 2033, 2034, we might only be able to give you 78 cents on the dollar on Social Security, it's because there wasn't controls on Social Security like there should have been. They used it for other things that the government needed. Hey, we got a little money in Social Security. You need some? Grab some. Use it for that.
Right. And that's what destroyed it. Yeah, absolutely. And then also, depending upon when we retire, how many working individuals are going to be out there supporting the retirees. So the question is going to be, how many working individuals is it going to take to support, one retiree, on Social Security? So that's why they're going to have to, they keep messing with these numbers as far as retirement age and everything else. So
it's almost like every generation has fewer kids than the one before it, it seems.
Yeah.
Kind of. And that affects Social Security for sure.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So if you have questions about Social Security and you haven't started it yet, you do have a 1-year window. You used to be able to start it at 62 and go, well, my full retirement age is 66. I'm gonna start it at 62, use my own money for 4 years, then I'll pay them all back, and then I'll get the higher benefit at 66. Well, the government didn't like you taking advantage of that and using their money the way they use yours. So they said, nope, you have a 1-year window. Once you start Social Security, you can change your mind within that year, but you have to pay all the money back that you've gotten. So that's a big change. So once you take it, you've taken it. You better do some research and don't look at Social Security in a vacuum. It's about how everything else fits into the picture and where does Social Security come in to really help. It's 800-700-1980 if you'd like to talk to Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisor Group. Again, there's no cost for this. 800-700-1980. All right, let me give you a few more of these questions, Rick. This one I think is one that I'm actually kind of surprised that almost 60% answered this one correctly. If I get divorced, I might be able to collect Social Security benefits based on my ex-spouse's Social Security earnings history. Can you explain that one?
Oh, yeah. Once you've been married over a period of time, let's say 10 years or so, and you get a divorce from your spouse, you can still claim their Social Security. So let's just say, for example, your ex-spouse Social Security benefit is $3,000, and let's just say yours is $1,000. They will allow you to base your Social Security amount based on your ex-spouse's figure. So if his is $3,000, you go on spousal. Usually they'll give you about half that amount. So let's just say it's about $1,500. So instead of taking yours at $1,000, you go on theirs, and you get a little bit of a bump, $1,500. And it doesn't. Here's the other thing where people sometimes don't catch right away, is that it doesn't affect the spouse's Social Security. Sometimes they think that, oh, well, that reduced my spouse's Social Security or my ex-spouse's Social Security if I claim spousal benefit. It does not. So if they're entitled to $3,000, they're going to get their full $3,000, but now you'll get at least half of theirs. So then again, that's a scenario where you'd sit down with somebody and they can look at your benefit, look at the spouse's benefit, and decide what's going to be best for you and how to take it.
Yeah, so you're not getting over on your spouse. They're not even going to know you're taking it, probably.
Yeah,
no effect to them. But you can't get married. when you do that. I think it's before 60 or something. There's a whole bunch of rules. That's where Rick comes in and the team at Safeguard to help guide you through all of this. 800-700-1980. Under current law, Rick, Social Security benefits could be reduced by 20% or more for everyone by 2035. We just talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah. And the scenario here is, in my world and the clients that I'm seeing, they're pretty aware of this, and they're actually, most of them, or maybe I should say a lot of them, are really planning on Social Security not being there. Now, I'm not saying Social Security is not going to be there, but how they're setting up their plans is assuming worst case scenario, Social Security is not even going to be there. And that way they know that if their plan is going to be working regardless if Social Security is going to be there or not, and they're comfortable, it gives them peace of mind. Now, if Social Security is there, and let's say there's a 20% haircut or 30% haircut, whatever it is, it's just going to be icing on the cake for them. So if you have the opportunity, I would definitely structure the plan around, as best you can, trying to take Social Security out of the equation as much as possible. That way, when we do retire, we're more in the driver's seat. If Social Security's there, great. If it's cut, no big deal. Whatever happens, you're in the driver's seat, and that's the way I would set up my plan for those that still are some years away from retirement.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have the ability to make Social Security just a wild card, hey, if I get it, great. If I don't, oh well, that's okay. You're in great shape. You can retire, right? Rick and the team are certainly here to help you do that. 800-700-1980. But for those that Social Security is really a big decision, and the average Social Security today is about $1,900 a month. So you times that over 30 years, it's over $650,000 over that time period. And if you're married, you double that. It's over $1 million decision. So there's a lot of moving parts here, and there's little subtle rules here and there, and you just don't want to mess them up. If you haven't decided when to take Social Security, it's a great opportunity just to kind of feel Rick out and go, hey, do you think you can help us? We're trying to figure this out. It's 800-700-1980. 800-700-1980. Back with more of the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group right after this.
You're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. For more information about Rick and the Safeguard Investment Advisory Group team, go to safeguardinvestment.com. While you're there, you can also download educational retirement guides and sign up for an upcoming seminar. That's safeguardinvestment.com. Now, back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera, a partner at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. Rick has over 20 years of experience in the financial industry. And Rick and Reed and Eddie, they're here to help guide you as it pertains to your retirement. Boy, can I retire? Do I have enough? Will my money last? Are we going to be okay if something happens to us? I mean, what's the deal? How are we going to be in retirement? It's 800-700-1980. And by the way, if you're just maybe starting to think about retirement and you're like, man, I'd like to know more about this retirement game, Rick and the team at Safeguard have put together a toolkit that's built of retirement guides. There's a webinar that Reed did. It's a 30-minute webinar. They will send you the toolkit and the retirement guides and the webinar. All you have to do is text the word toolkit to 951-667-4969. So if you'd like the retirement guides and the webinar, just text the word toolkit to 951-667-4969. No cost to you whatsoever. I'm Mark Kelly. Glad you're with us. We're going to ask Rick a couple retirement questions. Then we're going to get to know Rick a little bit better with some fun off-the-wall questions. The first question is this, Rick. You know, when you guys started this company in 2008, taxes, I suppose, were a big deal, but I don't think they're a big deal like they are today. This question is, how do I figure out how much I'll have to pay in taxes in retirement? And do you think taxes are a bigger deal today than they were when you started the company?
You know, for retirees, it's always been kind of a big deal. I always wanted to have them addressed, because the big scenario here is that any money that they save in taxes is a direct result of how much income they're going to have in their pocket each and every year. So it plays a huge part, especially when it comes to Social Security taxation and all the rest of it. But I'm sorry, were you asking me? What was the question?
The question basically is, somebody is asking you this question. How do I figure out how much I'll have to pay in taxes in retirement?
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. So basically, how do you figure out how much you're going to pay in taxes? Actually, that's a good question, because you want to make sure that going into retirement, you're not caught by surprises. So what we do for our clients or people that we meet for the first time, and we're trying to maybe run a mock tax return for them to show them what they're going to be paying. Well, in order to determine that, number one, we have to look at the income sources. Once we understand how much income that they're going to need in retirement, we have to look at where those sources are going to be coming from. Because the reason why I say that is because not all sources are taxed the same. So if I take money out of my IRA or 401k, 100% of that is reportable and 100% of it is based on marginal. But if I'm pulling money, let's say part of the income is coming from qualified dividends, well, that might be taxed at a different rate. If some of the income is coming from capital gains, that might be at a different rate. Social Security is obviously not taxed the same as pensions or the investments. So the big thing here is to know, okay, what is the income that's going to be required? Then where are the sources going to come from to make up this shortfall? And then once we know that, we can then run a mock tax return determining roughly what taxes are going to be in retirement. So that way there is no surprises. And then the other thing too is depending upon the client's investments and assets, we may be able to choose, hey, here are the best sources to pull from in order to create the income you need while minimizing taxes as well. So that's the best way to go about doing it.
Now, one of the interesting parts of tax, I think most people go, well, Rick, what are you talking about? I don't have any control over taxes. Congress comes up with all of that. Every administration changes my taxes, it seems. I have no control over that. What you say is, by doing some planning, we can decide when and how to pay those taxes and hopefully not be paying more than our fair share.
Correct. Doing it as efficiently as possible. Again, so you're not paying more than fair share. I'm not saying we can always escape taxes, but the bottom line is here, a lot of my clients even tell me, Rick, I don't mind paying my fair share. I just don't want to be paying more than my fair share. So if there's some strategies or tools I can implement to help minimize the taxation on these things, of course I want to know about those things. Why wouldn't I take advantage of it?
All right, let me give you some of these fun questions. Let's get to know Rick Rivera a little bit. And this was an interesting one, I think, because it starts with your business, your industry of the financial world. There's so many different financial advisors out there that I'm not sure. I think that's part of the reason why I think only maybe 20, 30% of people actually have a retirement plan, because they don't even really know who to talk to. And they think, well, you're an advisor, so I guess you can help me. Well, sure, I can help you, but they're not retirement planners. That's the problem. So the biggest industry frustration that you have?
The first thought that comes to mind when you ask me that question, and and actually I plan on doing a podcast on this because it flared me up the other day, is I'm using the term sins of omission. This is a scenario where advisors will, pitch a product or pitch something to a client, and they leave out a lot of important information that could be critical to that client making a decision. And I'll say the straw that kind of broke the camel's back, which decided me to do the podcast specifically on this, was I was watching a commercial the other day on TV, and trust me, there's a bunch of them I can go into, but where they were pitching gold. The commercial was pitching gold. I'm sure we all seen these commercials. And what they did is they said, oh, if you took gold and put it in your safe back in 1973, and you took $12,000 and put it in your safe in 1973, and then you took $12,000 of cash and put it in your safe and held it to now, let's say 40 years, you would have had 10 times the amount in value in gold than you would have in the cash. Actually, the cash would be down
what it
in
was.
value to inflation.
Right. If you have $12,000 cash in a safe, it's not invested in anything. It's going to be $12,000 when you get it out.
Well, the whole thing is they're saying if you held it for 40 years, the value of it grew it would be now worth 120,000, something of that nature.
The gold would be.
The gold would be worth 120,000. Yeah. Right. Where the cash would be, negative in value technically because of inflation.
Right, because of inflation. Sure. Yeah.
The challenge, here's where the sins of omission come in. Number one, they make it so it's worth 10 times more. But when you look at that time period, that was a 3.5% return from point A to point B. They don't tell you that. So if I compare it to other investments, why aren't they comparing it to traditional investments like the market or other commodities? Why didn't they compare apples to apples, the gold to maybe silver or copper or palladium? Is it because some of those maybe actually perform much better? And the other thing, when was the last time you ever heard anybody, if I'm going to compare investment to investment, when was the last time I ever heard somebody taking cash and putting it in their safe as an investment? You're not doing it because it's an investment. You're doing it because you're like, hey, maybe there's a rainy day, or there's a natural disaster or whatever. Hey, I just might have to have some cash, or I don't want to go to the ATM at night. I got money in my safe. You're not doing it as investment. Nobody puts money in a safe as an investment. So there's so many scenarios. I'm just giving you like one little snippet, but there's so many scenarios like that I see, whether it be on TV commercials or how an advisor pitched a product to a client, and they can pick any time period to make their product look better than what it really is, or they leave out specific information.
Like fees?
Exactly. That's critical to that client making a decision. And many times, just a quick, and I'm sorry to get on a rant, but sometimes they'll pitch a product. They'll tell them, hey, look, this is going to give you tax deferral. And then, obviously you got to pay for the privilege of tax deferral, which, if you're looking to save money in taxes, great. I don't mind paying for something as long as, I'm getting something in return. But then they've never even looked at their tax return. They're pitching them on a benefit. But then when I look at the client's tax, they're not even paying taxes. Most of their money's coming from Social Security. So why are they paying a fee for tax deferral when they're not even paying taxes anyway? So this is where I'm just going to say sins of omission. Sorry, you got me a little hyped up over here.
Well, and because of that, because you went on a little rant there, it's time for you. You just go ahead and tell people how to get a hold of you and what you will do when they give you a call, how it all works.
Yeah. So if you're concerned and want a second opinion on any of these things, so that way you don't get caught, we'll share with you the advantages, disadvantages of things. Make sure you're fully educated on the particular plan we put together for you. Just give us a call directly, 800-700-1980. Again, our toll-free number is 800-700-1980. You can ask to speak to me directly, and if you do, I guarantee you that if you just give me 45 minutes, no more than an hour of your time, I will be able to give you 2 ideas that'll enhance whatever it is that you're doing, and it will cost you nothing to do. So it's worth at least lobbing a phone call. Again, that number is 800-700-1980.
Firm offers insurance services. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is a registered investment advisory firm. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC.